One. All right, guys. Today we have Maria Holland on the show. She is with Remax Home and Estates Lipman Group. Maria, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Brian.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you for being here, taking the time to talk to us about getting to know you, getting to know Realtor. What is on the agenda today for you?
Well, I've already been busy working on inspections. I've got another meeting right after this with a homeowner I'm going to be listing with, and then I'm showing properties this afternoon. So it's always something, and it's very transactional. So sometimes what you think is going to happen in the morning changes pretty quickly.
Right. It definitely is a realtor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. How long have you been a realtor for?
It'll be 16 years in January, so just a couple months shy of that. And I'm a native Nashvilleian, so just have enjoyed being a realtor in my home city.
What part of Nashville are you in?
Well, I live in Nashville Davidson County, but I grew up in Brentwood, so a little south of the city, and Franklin. Those are the two areas that I kind of grew up in, but live in Nashville Davidson County at present.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and throw that on the map so people can kind of see that. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So just some kind of getting to know you questions. You said you're a Tennessee native, right?
I am.
So are you a beach or mountains kind of person?
Definitely a beach. I mean, I'm Southern all the way. So hot is good. I tell people a 90-degree day is a perfect day for me. So I love the beach. I love the water. I love the lakes as well. So.
Oh, excellent. Any favorite spots, like beaches or anything like that, vacation spots?
Probably Florida beaches, and we're really close to the Panhandle here, so we're 7 hours. So you can literally hop in the car at 4 in the morning and be on the beach by 11:30. So just have a tendency to go that way, and the beaches are white and the water's really clear, so it's really pretty that way. But anywhere down that Gulf area of Florida is just beautiful.
Okay, excellent. I've never been to that part of the country.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, one day that'll be nice. Mm-hmm. In terms of food, since you're in Tennessee, what's your favorite type of food to eat?
Well, Mexican's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I love Chipotle for my favorite fast food. Of course, I love a good salad and, grilled chicken. I'm a Chick-fil-A. I mean, that's kind of my guilty pleasure is Chick-fil-A. You can't do that. You cannot do fried chicken and French fries very often, but it is my guilty pleasure. So
yeah, no, Chick-fil-A's, it's great. Mm-hmm. They're good. Oh my gosh. What about a dessert? Since we're on food,
anything chocolate.
Ooh.
If it's got chocolate in it, I'm going to love it. And I'm really more of a cake and cookie person. I mean, a pie and cookie over cake. So I'd rather have a fudge pie or a chocolate chip cookie over chocolate cake.
Oh, nice. Coffee or tea?
And, really, I'm one of those weird people. I don't like coffee. I know, isn't that weird? And tea's okay. It's still a little bitter to me. Water is my main drink of choice. And if I have anything else, it's a Coke Zero.
Okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. That's the second time I heard this week, Coke Zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like hot tea. A hot tea in the wintertime is nice, but most Southerners really love a good sweet tea, and it's okay, but I don't love it. So
have you ever thought about living outside of Tennessee?
Well, we actually did. When my husband and I first married, we moved to Connecticut for 3 years and lived there, and we lived in Atlanta for 2. So other than that, I've lived in the Nashville area my whole life, and it was good. It's good to get out of where you live and your roots to see other things that expand your mind. But it also has helped me because when you move to a brand new city and you're really lost, you really do depend on your realtor. So I feel like I have that relocation piece of me because I actually was a consumer in that way at one point.
Right. Yeah. And having to go somewhere you're not familiar at all. Not really.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I really try and educate people, when we go around, if they're in the car, I point out parks, I point out commute times, I point out schools and libraries and trails and things like that, just to help people acclimate themselves to where they are and what's around them, because it's so hard if you're not from the area.
Yeah, absolutely. The places in which you help people move, like people who are moving to Nashville or Brentwood, where are they typically like from in the country?
Well, lately our biggest relocation has been California. Our second has been probably Chicago. So we've had a ton of Californians and people from Chicago moving here. We still are having a lot of people from the Upper East Coast that move down here as well, like New Jersey, New York. But Chicago and California are the places that people seem to be moving out of to Tennessee at the moment.
Interesting. That's great. So I'm not in, Tennessee, in that world. So I just love those facts. Like, that's so interesting, the flow of people and stuff. How is there a difference in how you help them? Or like, do people have people who are moving from different parts of the country who are moving to Tennessee? Is there something like, or do they all kind of generally have the same needs, or how does that like look like if you're helping someone from California versus from someone from Chicago?
That's not necessarily the need difference. It really has to do more of their family situation. So a lot of people have researched the schools and they'll say, we want to be in this school district. So I had someone coming in this past week from Colorado, actually. They've got 2 kids, one in middle, one in high school. They'd already done the research on the schools and said, we want to be in one of these 4 high schools. So that has to do with the age of their children. Then you have someone else, like I've got somebody else I was with yesterday. They're moving here from West Virginia to retire because their grandchildren live here. And they're like, we love Franklin. We want to be in Franklin. We just love Franklin. So they're not interested in school. They just want the area. So it really depends on like your situation, your age, the age of your children, or if you have any children. So it's just more of kind of your needs. Got it.
So how did you get started in real estate?
Well, the way I got started in real estate was my husband and a friend were doing some developing back before Nashville was exploding the way it is. And some of the expensive areas, they had these older homes and bigger lots. And so they would tear down the house and put up 2 homes. And so for about a year, I was with my husband trying to figure out zoning and just different things like that. And I was learning a lot. And he said, hey, I want you to get your license so you can list these. And at the time, my youngest was still at home, and I was like, I don't know, I guess I could do this part-time. So I went into it thinking, I was just going to do this or whatever. Well, I stayed because I loved it. And I was hooked. I loved working with people. I loved all the design. I just love every part of my business that I do. And I'm really, running my own business. So I really love that part of it. And I've kind of had done some things along that route as far as running small businesses. And so the whole real estate thing was just fun. And so I went from like, I might list 5 or 6 homes a year for him, to he's not even doing that anymore, to, I'm going to sell all these homes and I'm going to become a top producer. And I'm just loving growing my business. So that's how I stayed in it. I got into it for like maybe the wrong reasons. I stayed in it because I love it. So for the right reasons.
No, I love that. It's like when someone like invites you somewhere, they're like, hey, just try it. And little do you know.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. I had no idea what I was stepping my foot into at the time.
Yes. But it's a good thing. It's like it helps you grow and stuff.
It does.
That's so cool. In terms of the small businesses before that you said you helped run, what did that look like?
Well, I have 3 children, so I was trying to kind of work at home and work from home. So I had a little design business that I did. I'd help people accessorize their home, help people with drapes, things like that, just design piece of it. Before that, I was in sales and marketing. That's what I started out in school. I had a marketing degree. I was in sales and marketing. I had my training there. But I was doing kind of a little design business for my home is what I was doing. So it really fits well with the industry I'm in now.
What school did you go to?
Oh, I went to Lipscomb University here in Nashville, actually.
That's cool. What's the mascot? We'll throw it up.
They have a bison.
Nice. Oh,
Lipscomb Bisons. Yeah.
bison are great. Bison burgers. Those are really good. Awesome. Yeah, bison they're beautiful animals. Yeah. Do you guys have bison in Tennessee?
There is somebody off Franklin. They have some in their front yard. They're the only ones I know of. So not as a whole, but I think they have brought some in.
That's amazing. That's great. Where did you go to high school?
Well, I went to the Brentwood high school system. So I grew up in Brentwood and went to Williamson County schools. There is a Lipscomb and Brentwood. It just so happens those Lipscomb University and Lipscomb and Brentwood, one's public, one's private, but they were brothers at one time and started schools in different places in Nashville. And so I went to what we call the Free Lipscomb, which is part of in Williamson County schools, and then Brentwood Middle and Brentwood High. So,
okay, awesome. That's great. How was your experience like in high school?
I mean, it was good. I mean, does anybody ever really want to go back to those days? But no, I mean, I was awkward, a little insecure, just like every other girl. But I found my place. I was on swim team. I did cheerleading, all those things. So
awesome. In swim, what did you? I don't know if you remember what you swam or like the.
Everything but the butterfly.
Oh,
that was never, or the I am. Those were not, the butterfly just was not my forte.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's definitely a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I know it's funny to go back to high school, you start like thinking about stuff.
Yeah, I'm a little old for that.
Yeah. No, you're good. It's just cool to reminisce sometimes. But okay, so I know before this we talked about your Enneagram. I'm curious to find out, what is your Enneagram?
I'm a 2. I'm a helper.
Super.
I love to help people. That's what I love to do. And I really do. I find joy in it. So I love to come alongside someone and help them, find their home or just find something that they're interested in or just help in some way. So I get joy in that.
That's cool. Do you know what your husband is as a Enneagram?
I think he is what's perfectionist? Is that 1? Or he's between a 1 and 3, driven and perfectionist. So
I think that's the 1. Yeah, that's the individualist, I believe. We'll throw it up. So what are some things that that inspire you?
Well, I love children. So I love going to, my daughter teaches and my daughter-in-law teaches, and my daughter-in-law doesn't live here anymore, but when they did, I loved going to their classrooms and helping in their classrooms because I love little kids. They just inspire me with their innocence and just the way they love so beautifully. So I just love being around kids. My mom was a teacher, and I think she just had this infectious love for children she instilled in me. So that's one of the things that inspires me.
That's awesome. Wow. My mom's a teacher too, or she was. So yeah. I feel like it's a good parent to have when your parent's a teacher.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, my mom was just always like, chaos didn't bother her. It does bother me, but it didn't bother her, and it's just a fun home to grow up in.
Yeah. So what do you do outside of real estate, like in terms of hobbies or anything fun you guys as a family like to do?
Well, one of the things I personally like to do is hike, and we have Radnor Lake right here in Nashville, and I go there probably 3 times a week at least and hike. And so I love just to be outdoors. I just enjoy being outdoors. But we have a lake house, and so we go to the lake, and we love to boat and do all the things on the water.
Oh, nice. That's so cool. Boating, yeah, different lifestyle. I feel like Tennessee versus like here in LA where it's mostly concrete. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of lakes here in Tennessee. People don't realize how many we have. So,
what are some of like favorite lakes? Like favorite spots?
Well, here in Tennessee, probably my favorite lake is Center Hill. So it's about an hour north of the city. It's easily accessed. you can't really have very many docks on the lake because of the Corps of Engineers owns the bottom part of the lake. So if you love to do water sports, it's a little bit, it kind of sits down in a cove, so it keeps the wind out. So if you're an avid water skier or wakeboarder, it just makes for smooth water, and that's really great. That's probably one of my favorite lakes here in Tennessee. Percy Priest is right here in the middle of the city, and Old Hickory is north of the city. So those are lakes that people really enjoy too.
Okay, that's good. Those are like some good tips. Curious, kind of going back to real estate. I'm wondering, so you've been in business for 16 years, you said. Where do you see yourself like going in the next 5 years in terms of the real estate?
Well, I'm going to continue the way I've gone. I'm probably maybe going to bring on a buyer's agent and grow my team a little bit. I've kind of been a one-man shop. The big thing right now is teams, and that's great, but I'm really big into personal service. And so it's hard to control that when you've got people that you hire and they're not doing things. But I have an assistant who's wonderful. It took me forever to hire her because I wanted somebody who was great, and she is.
Good.
But just probably growing my team a little bit and growing that business even more. I'm always looking to grow.
Good. I like that mindset, like always wanting to grow. Do you have any, like, since you have like so much experience, any interesting or funny like real estate stories of like with insight or just like that? Yeah.
Well, I have some funny stories. I mean, I'll tell two.
Yes,
I have
please.
one that we had, you schedule these appointments, you have to get the confirmation in order to go, and you get the instructions on how to get in. So I was with this a professor at Belmont, and she's a professor of theology. And so we were going out looking at houses, and we're over in that area, and we have the confirmation. We go in this house, and I was like, did you hear anything? She was like, yeah, I think I hear water running. We get to the back of the house, and some man is in the shower. I mean, we hightailed it out there.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, there's just funny things that happen like that. I had another one where the woman, they gave me confirmation to see it. The woman had a pacemaker put in, and I get in the house and I open this door, and this woman is snoring so loudly. And I like tiptoe out of there, and I called the agent. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You should have been confirmed. She just came home from the hospital today. So there's weird things that happen that way. But I think the one that really was most insightful for me is I was probably only been in the business maybe 3 years, and we go to the closing, and this family I had been working with, they were so nice. The man was so nice. But we get to the closing table, and like, I'm embarrassed at his behavior. It was awful. I like wanted to crawl under the table because he was acting just so rude. And I'm just thinking, oh my word. And so when it's all finished, he was like, do you want to go to lunch? And I'm thinking, no, like, you've been so rude. But I went to lunch with him, and he went back into being that really nice person. And it really hit me. Oh my goodness. I sometimes forget, like, buying a house is stressful. So sometimes I see these personality changes in people from the stress, and I have learned to recognize that now. It's like, okay, they're stressed. So how do I need to meet them in that need? How do I need to help them calm down? I don't have to be embarrassed about their behavior. I just need to help them get through this stressful situation, ask more questions. So I think for me, that was probably one of the most learning experiences I've had, trying to figure out what in the world has happened to this man that was so nice.
Right.
And just kind of figuring it out.
So like a switch flipped for him. That's interesting. Was he selling his house?
No, he was buying.
He was buying.
So it's typically when you're buying, people, especially if they're first-time home buyers, or maybe they are leveraged a little more than they should be, or maybe they just are just nervous people. And it's just keeping everything really calm, not bringing the drama into it. For me, on my end, there's so much I can take care of that, not that they would know about it, but sometimes there's drama that comes up that I can take care of, and I can tell them about it later after it's over, and not bring them in, but just take care of things, because the smoother I can make that transition for them, the better,
Yeah.
situation they're going to have.
Yeah, no. In terms of like communication between you and your clients, like how does that look?
Well, in these days, it looks every way. But I still think old-fashioned wise, the best communication is still picking up the phone and calling people. So, for instance, I had a offer we put out last night, and they did not get it. I'm not going to text them and say, hey, you didn't get the home. I pick up the phone and we talk through it. People still need that personal touch of someone talking through it with them. Of course, I text and I email and all those things. And I also try and figure out what's the best way to communicate with my clients. So many times I'll say, what's the best way you want me to communicate with you? And then they'll tell me, and then that's the way I will mainly communicate. So that's how I usually do it. But on big things, I still try and pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. You like simply asking, hey, what's the best way? So there's no guessing involved. You can just, love that. So in terms of like, if you had to go back and like tell your younger real estate self, give your younger real estate self some advice, what would you tell your 16 years ago? What would you tell yourself?
Probably to let things go. You're not going to make everybody happy. Do your best and let it go. Not let it worry you so much. I had this unrealistic goal in the beginning that I'd have 100% referral and repeat business. And you're just never going to have that because somebody's sister, brother, aunt, whatever, gets into the business or they marry and they know somebody. I mean, there's just different things that happen. And then there's some people you just never can please. No matter how hard you try, you can't. So you just have to learn to let those things go. And then I think the other thing is always to keep good relationships with other agents because it's a small business and it comes back around. So make sure you don't burn bridges.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. That's so good. That's some wisdom right there. Because if things do come back around, you end up working with the same people again, and you're like, oh my god,
you do.
Yeah, like hey,
and they'll remember if it's been bad.
Yes, absolutely. So, in terms of your current real estate business, what are some areas you want to like improve or to grow in, like in terms of? I'm not sure. Like typically, I ask, hey, if I give you a voucher for $10,000, what would you invest in? So like I guess a blend of those two questions.
Well, it's always good. It's always good to have more search engine optimization for yourself. It's a different kind of business, which has not really been my primary focus. My primary focus has been really on referral and repeat. And I would say 70% or more of my business is referral and repeat. And that's your best business always is referral and repeat. Yeah. So I really go after that. I'd probably put more, if I had $10,000, I'd probably put more marketing dollars or promotional dollars into reaching out to my sphere and continuing those points of connection and really letting them know I care about them, maybe hiring someone to even help me with that. And then maybe a little bit more search engine optimization. So I got a little bit more, got a little bit higher in the ranking.
Yeah, no, like for locally, like where you're at and stuff. Absolutely. That's great. Let's talk about retirement. So like, do you have any retirement?
Does a realtor ever retire?
I heard a story yesterday. Somebody's dad, they did real estate until they were 92, and they passed away at 93. So he loved it. So.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. You can do it as long as you want. Even if I wanted to slow down and, create a team and people still call you back and you can give that out, source it out and still be a part of it, but maybe not as involved. So I probably see myself continuing the way I am for at least another 10 to 12 years. And then as I get to an age where I want to retire more, then probably just outsourcing that more, like, being head of a team and having a couple of people that I outsource more that can team with me on that.
Yeah, that's great. In your retirement, do you plan to do any traveling?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh, yes.
That's what I love is travel. So I want to go to Italy and Greece. I want to go to Israel. I want to go to more places in the United States. So I have a lot of places on my bucket list. Mm-hmm.
Where in the U.S. would you like to go?
Well, I'd like to go out west even more. I mean, we've been to some places, but I'd like to go back. I'd like to visit places I still haven't been. I still want to go to is it South Dakota or North Dakota where all the presidents are in the rocks?
South Dakota.
I want to go see that. I want to do a road trip across the United States.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law is from Traverse City, Michigan, and we went up there for their engagement, but I'd like to go back in the summer. And I want to go to Lake Tahoe. I mean, there's just so many places I want to go. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. But then, you should, as you do a lot of, sounds like you work really hard.
I do work hard.
Yeah.
I will say one of your biggest success factors in this business is how hard you're willing to work. I mean, it's hard work. People don't realize how hard this job is. It's a hard job, but it's good. I mean, it's very fulfilling, but it's a hard job.
Yeah. How have you balanced that work-life balance as a realtor for you?
Yeah, and I haven't always done that well. I'll just be honest. You really have to stay a little bit more boundaried. When I first started, my kids were younger. And so in the evening, I'd be with my family, and then I'd stay up till 1 and 2 in the morning, sometimes working. So that's hard. Yeah. But I did it, and I was younger then, and I could handle it better. Now there's just certain times I just don't answer my phone. So I go to church on Sunday mornings. My phone's off. When I get out of worship, I can answer it then. They can wait, Right. If I'm out on a date with my husband, I'm going to have my phone on vibrate and just not be checking it as often. So there's just certain times I'm trying to put my phone away because I turn my phone off at night. At 10 o'clock, it goes on silent because people have called me at 12 midnight, 4 in the morning. And I need my rest. So I've just got to learn to be boundaried in that way and get back quickly with people, but still have some time for myself.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah, because if you can't rest, then you can't do your job, or you can't be effective the next day. Absolutely.
Well, and you can work it's a 24/7 business. You just have to be available. So you've got to set some boundaries for your personal care, Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. For your own sanity. Yeah, that's good. I like that insight. Like that. Cool. Well, was there any questions I didn't ask or anything I didn't touch on that you wanted me to ask?
Oh, well, I hadn't thought about that. I guess I just want to say, for anybody who watches this YouTube video, if you're thinking about moving to the Nashville area, I'd love to be able to help you. It's more of a plug for myself. Maybe that's not a question, but I will say that a lot of people really get into the big teams and they think that these big teams are the way to go. But so many times these big teams just hire a lot of young agents that are inexperienced. So going with someone that is going to be personalized in your quest to find a home or sell a home, that's important. One of the things I do that we didn't talk about is I have a person on staff that is an employee, and she's a stager. So we stage all my listings. And I will tell you that HGTV has really changed the market in the last 6-7 years. So I make sure I get out, I stage my listings, and getting them really looking good for the internet is so important. So the videos, the photography, all of that's so important. So that's one of the things that I do. I think it's important for any agent really to be doing for their clients.
Yeah, especially in these times where things are so online. We just got fast forwarded because of the virus and stuff. Yeah.
Right, and even today, the person I'm meeting with next on the listing, they have a home. It's been a rental. It hasn't been updated in a while. The trees were overgrown. It needed mulching. It needs some updated lighting. It needs painting. And I'm helping coordinate all that. And they'll get $35,000 more for this house just because they'll put 10 in it. So it's also having the ability to do that for your clients and being willing to. So
yeah, and knowing what to upgrade versus not to upgrade.
Yeah, and the important thing for me is just I have to bring value to the table. And so that's one of the ways I bring value to the table is I know how to get your home ready for market to bring you the highest dollar. I'm also a good negotiator, but you've got to be able to bring that home and in a way that sells it like HGTV would sell it to get your highest dollar.
Love that. That's awesome. That's great. And that's, as a realtor, like that, you have the insight. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, that's like,
well, and that's where that design piece comes back in for me, and I love it. So, yeah, it's just having the eye. My aha when I got in this business is that most people aren't visual, and I am. And so when I realized that, like, people will go, "Oh yeah, I don't want that house that has a blue dining room," and I think, what? So people just can't see past what's in front of them. So helping people see past that to something that they can envision or, looks like HGTV, then they're like, oh yeah, I want this and I'll pay highest dollar for it.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. That's great. Well, Maria Holland, thank you so much. That is some great wisdom and insight. You guys, here's her information again. You can check her out online. Facebook and Instagram, website, email, phone number. We'll throw that and then put it in the description as well. Yeah, thanks again so much for being here and just being open and letting people know who you are and just taking the time to chat and stuff. So
thank you, Brian. I appreciate you doing this.
Hey, okay. Bye, guys.
Have a great day.
You too.